All right, we are on. All right, guys. All right, guys. So let's start with the basics, guys. How do we look? How do we sound? I'm gonna need you to say something as well.
Yeah, no problem. Hello,
Yeah, all
hello.
right.
1, 2, 3.
All right, very good. I think you sound good on my end. So now I got to wait for the, you sound good or you sound bad responses.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Let's see. All right. So everything looks like it's going good. 20 views. That's interesting. Someone says 60 waitings, 30 likes, but we only have. Okay, it shot up. There it is. Good. My son's on here again.
It's awesome.
Yeah. He gets a kick out of watching this.
Yeah, I told my kids, and I don't think they give a shit at all.
Yeah, well, some kids find it fun, some kids don't. I don't know why mine's do, but I don't know why my kids find this, entertaining. But all right, you know what? It's probably because of the COVID, the lack of going out and the BS that's going along with it.
The one for social interaction.
Yeah. All right. Someone said that your volume needs to be turned up a little, but everyone says a lot of people are saying good, and some people are saying yours is too low.
All right. Well, let me see here.
And you sound good on my end, so
No, I got you. I'll just see if I can't.
confident.
How about that?
I think
I'm assuming I'm louder now.
you sound fine to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. You sound fine to me, but some people are saying low. Listen, if he sounds low, you could get closer to the mic. It's good to get this shit out of the way now, right? Isn't it? A little higher. All right, so my son says a little higher, and everybody else says we both sound good. So good.
All right.
All right, guys, sorry
I'll
about
just
that.
speak like a man. We'll be good.
Yes, we should be able to get through this. Guys, we did cut off. We're back on now, so hopefully they got through this. Everybody's like, buffering, you're buffering. So hopefully it'll take 30 seconds, and then we'll kick.
All right.
All right, so I try to monitor us on my iPad. There's a lot of buffering. All right. Yeah, you know what? I tell you, with you would think the internet would be a lot like more Johnny on the spot, but it really isn't.
No.
You know, with all the problems people are having, people are getting kicked. All right, so everyone's saying we are good to go. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us today. This is the Angryprepper. This is Prepping Outside the Box. Before we get into any of the questions, do me a favor, hit the like button, the thumbs up, or the thumbs down, whatever makes you happy. It's all the same. It just helps out with the algorithm. As of right now, I would like you guys also, after the video, to head over to Prepping Outside the Box's YouTube channel and like and subscribe to his channel as well. If I'm not mistaken, Prepping Outside the Box is a Marine. You are currently serving or no?
No. I've been out for a minute.
Okay.
I got in like 2002, and I finally got out in 2011. So it's been a little bit.
All right. So it's well. Anyway, listen. Regardless, thank you for your service.
That's like good. Thanks.
All right. We do appreciate it. So let's get into it. Buffering is going to get worse and worse in the next 5 days. So someone's saying buffering is going to get worse in the next 5 days. I'm assuming because people think or are thinking that with the elections, we're going to run into communication issues, which I've been hearing for the last 3 months right now. What are your thoughts on that?
Man, unless it's just people crowding servers and things like that, that's not really my area.
Okay.
But I would say I could see it happening if it gets if enough things happen, it gets excessive. People are crowding a little wavelength, especially if they shut down again and everyone goes back to being online and crowding again. So I could see that.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be an issue either way. Yeah, but they talked about this 3 days of darkness or something like that, and because I'm not a conspiracy theorist, I do put that stuff in the back of my head. But I also think, well, what if it does happen, right? So I don't, but I don't. I'm not biting my nails. That's how I'm looking at it. There are people sitting by waiting for this, and I'm just like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. All right. So a lot of people are saying thank you for your service. So thank you. So now, I had already asked you this question, but no. Let's start from the top. How long have you been prepping?
Prepping correctly since about 2012.
Okay. Well, that's around the same time I started. So all right.
Yeah.
Very good. What inspired you to prep or prepare?
Mainly family. So before, when I was saying, when I started correctly, I had a kind of the wrong mindset, I guess you could say. But I started because daughter, things like that, and I had the daughter when I was in, but when I got out and went back home and all that kind of stuff, just realized that I don't have the same the network of support you do when you're in. So.
Oh, okay. So once you left, you were like, shit, I'm by myself kind of deal?
Pretty much.
Okay. All right.
I've got family and kids, and I'm solely responsible, so, yeah.
Well, listen, like a lot of people prep for that reason. And it's crazy, because it's usually us older people, like anywhere between 35 to 40, where it hits you, you're like, shit, what if this happens, what I'm going to do, right? And we've all watched shit unfold. So, it's just interesting that we wait till we're in our 40s to do this shit. When you do have some people in their 20s who do get ready. So I guess my son's all over this thing. Whatever. I'm not going to pay too much attention. So what are you or what were you preparing for? Like everyone has a reason why they prepare. It's usually something that sparks an EMP, hurricane, blackout. What's your reasoning?
I get a little darker when I first started. So, if I'm preparing for anything, I'm preparing for a complete collapse of society. Not saying that that's the kind of thing that happens, but I like I say in the videos, stuff like that. I like to think way down the road, like years into a little SHTF situation. So I'll plan for things initially, thinking about what's going to happen 2 years down the road. Kind of like you read the book 1 Second After and things like that.
Right.
That was a pretty big inspiration, actually, for some of my preps. So.
Well, believe it or not, that was one of the reasons why I started prepping was because of that book.
It's a great book.
I needed to read a book just because I'm like, you know what? I'm getting old. I need to broaden my vocabulary and read. And I pick up this book as my first book to get back to it. And then it turned into this, this prepping. Because that, what is it, The Afterword by Newt Gingrich and how it's a probability of happening, right? You were just like, holy shit. So now, I asked you this question already, but I'm going to ask you again. When did you start YouTube?
Well, so I started a while back in like 2016. I had a business and doing some product reviews and things like that for stuff that we were creating. But since then, I had a different job and went away from it. Started reevaluating the company, and it wasn't until recently, a month and a half, 2 months ago, that I decided I wanted to kind of put my opinions out there, just for different things that I always wanted to talk about.
Well, listen, it seems to be working for you, right? Because you got a decent channel, and the only way is up for you with the channel, because it's level-headed and it's not all over the place, and it's not conspiracy theories and fear-mongering, which is nice, Though, yeah. I suspect the bigger you get, it doesn't matter which way you go, someone's going to undoubtedly label you a fearmonger, right? Which is
no, yeah.
Right?
I've already got the trolls coming in, which is hilarious and fun for me. So
trolls are always fun. They do make YouTube what it is, so there's no fighting with it. I do shut a lot of them down just based on facts and not
Yeah.
my opinions or emotions. Sorry, but someone asked a question. What was your MOS when you were in?
Oh, I was a tube strucker. So I was when I first got in, I was a mortarman. We call
Okay.
them tube struckers.
All
But
right.
I did that the first 4 years, and then when I went back in, because I got out and went back in after a little brief period, and I was basically a section leader and a platoon sergeant, things like that, for a rifle company.
Oh, okay. All right. So that's pretty cool, actually. Did you enjoy your time in the service?
Yeah, I mean, I loved and hated it at the same time. So it's
You know.
one of those things I would never, I would always go back and do it again
Okay.
for all good and the bad.
Hey, EF is here. Uh, hey, EF, do yourself a favor and behave yourself tonight. It's not going to fare well for you. But anyway, this guy's been breaking my balls for like a week straight. So I find it entertaining that he's watching tonight. So you live in a home in a suburban area, right?
I do.
Do you garden?
We we do not very well most of the time, so it's still a learning process for us.
Was it a washout for you this year, like autumn or Tim
No,
rather?
we've had a lot of rain, but I mean, living in the suburbs, you got to deal with your neighbors that are trying to do their perfect lawns and stuff like that around you too. So the position I had in my garden, he decided to use grass killer against the fence and killed half of it.
Holy shit! Really?
So we had to have a conversation. But yeah, it was. I mean, you don't think about it because he's just going by, just trying to clear out his little area, and I don't use anything in my yard.
Okay.
And yeah, just went out there one day, and literally half the garden that was against the fence was just dead. I was like,
shit!
all right, well, this is all going to come up, so cool.
Oh, damn! All right. What did you do to combat that, or did you just, like you said, have the conversation with him?
Well, no, we've had a couple of conversations in the past, so it's more or less I went over there and talked to him about it, I guess you could say. And I haven't had the issue since,
All right.
but we're going to be moving it. So I went and got some raised gardens and stuff like that. We're moving it to another section that doesn't have that kind of issue.
Okay.
But it was so late in I guess the year that it was just
It didn't matter.
we're waiting till next year, basically.
Gotcha. All right. Yeah, I don't think the moderators are on tonight. At least I didn't see any of them. But for anyone that wants to pick up the slack, Prepping Outside the Box's YouTube channel, could you put the link in the chat so people can find it easier, if you will? Whoever wants to pick up that slack tonight. All right, so let's switch gears a little bit. What is your opinion on the coronavirus?
Mixed, I guess you could say. So I would say this: I don't doubt that there is cold flu, whatever, a coronavirus. I won't doubt that there's something like that out there. But I think the severity of it, in my opinion, is politicized. I think it's an overreach and gives little local areas a little too much, I guess, leeway to do whatever they want. I think it's hurt. I think the reaction to it's hurting people more than the actual thing itself.
Right, that's pretty much where I'm at. Where in the beginning I sort of fell into the bullshit, you know.
I gave him the first 2 weeks, and I sat there and I was like, I'll stay at home. I mean, I had everything, so I did this. I did the same thing, and then after 3 months, I was like, what are you guys doing?
You're killing us here, you know. Yeah, no, it's funny because I initially I was like, all right, this could be bad. And though I started seeing who was getting sick and who wasn't, and who was getting sick and dying from it, and who was getting sick and who wasn't, I was like, all right, this is a thing. If you're healthy, you're going to be fine, you know.
Yeah.
But if you're one of the underlying illness people, you might have a problem. And the crazy thing is, not all the people with underlying issues have died. right? Um,
No.
but nonetheless, it is an issue. But I think that there needs to be a better understanding of it, and I think that's where uh, everything went wrong. There's no understanding, and these guys, CDC and the president and governors, they're throwing shit against the wall, seeing what sticks.
Pretty
Uh,
much. I think you got the issue of just wanting to be elected too.
yeah, yeah. You know
I
what?
mean, if they don't ride that thin little gray line, between throwing it out and going forward, if they don't ride that carefully, what's their chance? So,
Right. And some people said more people die from the regular flu. I like listen.
yeah,
Yeah. You know what? The year's not up yet, but I think. Well, actually, I'm sorry, but the number of COVID deaths, for those of you, did surpass the flu about a month or two ago. It is. Again, it is an issue, but I think the blame game and blaming people, um, blaming even the politicians that we don't like, but blaming them for not understanding this is a bit too early. This is something they've never faced, and now that this shit's in everyone's lap, and everyone's reacting to it, to what they think is right. The science to it has to be fully understood, and not in a year, and not in like 3 months or 6 months. It needs about a year to be fully understood. And I think all of us, whether you're a believer or not, rush to judgment. Um,
that's where I fall in the problem with the vaccine. If we can't fully understand the virus, how can we make a vaccine?
Right, exactly. Right. So, and the vaccine, I'm out on. They can really kiss my
Oh
ass with that one. Right.
I'm
I'm
good.
not I'm not touching the vaccine. But listen, we'll see. We'll see what's up. All right. So, what do you think will come from the second wave? Again, knowing that your stance on it, what do you think is going to come from the second wave of bullshit?
So, I mean, it's going to be different for me. I mean, I'm in the Midwest right now, so even the first one that happened, it was everything that happened here, all the ordinances or whatever that went in place was just an annoyance. And there's still people that followed it. There's the mass of us that just didn't care anymore and all that kind of stuff. So it's mainly businesses not wanting to be sued that were worried about it. But
Makes
I mean,
sense.
I'm way more worried about, and obviously like servers and stuff like that. They're going to be hit the hardest, and their ingenuity in staying in business is good. But I don't think that businesses, especially on the coastlines, that are going to make it.
Listen, we're seeing businesses here shut down for good because of this shit, right? So there's a barber shop down in the village. They've been open for 75 years. Just the other day, they had to shut down. And again, like I tell people all the time, it doesn't matter whether you think it's real or fake. That's a moot point at this point.
You're still dealing with the repercussions,
right?
whatever.
Right, and exactly. And now we got to deal with the repercussions, and the repercussions of the businesses going out. So something's got to be done. I just don't know what. I think the first shutdown was premature and immature, being that we didn't understand it. But I understand the knee-jerk reaction because no one's faced this before, right? And a couple people saying we're still in the first wave. Well, America is entering a third wave, believe it or not. I read an article by Times Magazine, and I had to read it twice to understand how are we entering a third wave, and then they explained it, and I was like, okay. Now, as far as individual areas go, certain areas are still, actually, we're out of a first wave because we dropped at the bottom, right? So a lot of people forget that the way the wave works is that when it peaks, when it starts dropping down again and it hits its lowest point, the lowest point, wherever that is, then it starts going up again. That's when the second wave. So certain places are hitting a second wave. I just don't know how this article said we're entering a third wave, being that a lot of places are just now entering second, right?
We've had so many friends, and almost every member of my family's had it.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, my dad, my stepmom, my sister, like almost everybody I know has had it. Almost everybody that's worked with my wife has had it. I'm pretty sure I've had it because when my parents had it, I was hanging out with them and drinking all the time for like games and stuff like that. And then like the very next day, they got tested and had it. So unless I'm just some magical being, I mean, there's so many of us that have had it and we didn't even know. They're like, "Oh, I've got slight allergies."
So the wife and kids had it, right? The wife had she thought it was allergies. My
Yeah.
son had it the worst, and then my daughter had it. And I'm hanging around them, and nothing, right? So then I go to work, right? I go to work, and a bunch of guys had it at work, and two of them I was sitting right next to, and nothing. So now I'm like, what the hell, right? So now I'm like, is it really contagious? What's the deal? And that's when my thought process changed a little bit on the contagiousness of it. Though,
Yeah.
like you, I heard a lot of people catch it. So I'm wondering why some of us who were in households with people or working with people on both ends didn't catch it. Right?
I'll make this funny thing. So my dad works in hospitals and stuff like that, and I used to do it with him. We used to work on the microscopes, but you go in virology, toxology, all those places that deal with that stuff. And he was working in a hospital a couple months ago, and it was right next to the COVID testing. And he was like, "Hey, do I need to do something to be safe over here?" And with the testing, and she goes, "Oh, these right here." She was just holding all the test tubes in her hand and was walking around and going through her.
Sure.
It's a nonchalant. I mean, you go into lab, they used to drink coffee, eat their lunch, and smoke in there. So half of them don't care.
No shit. Half of them don't care.
Anyways, around here.
No kidding. Someone asked my blood type. I'm O positive. If that makes any difference. But yeah. Listen, man. I think we're headed for. I hope we're not headed for another shutdown. All right. So now, what are your biggest fears pertaining to prepping?
I don't really know. I think it would be dealing with my kids. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, just because I can be fine in just about anything. I can deal with it and suck it up. The wife likes to be a little more luxurious at times, and the kids. I mean, just the boredom and all the stuff I'd have to do with them. If I was actually trying to get around, say we had a bug out or whatever, I've got two kids that probably won't shut up, and depending on what we're doing, but I guess my biggest fear would be having to do it, having to have something bad happen. That's extensive. Not like the power go out.
No, listen, it's funny. Again, everyone's answer when it comes to the fear thing, it's the kids are involved. The kids are always, like that leading answer.
Liability, man.
So I already know the answer to this question, but I have to ask: do you own any firearms?
Yeah, a few.
Yeah. And what is your favorite? What is your favorite firearm?
All right. Well, I mean, anybody that's ever watched the video see some. I'm in like the area where I build guns. It just happens to be the summer stage around,
Okay.
and there's like a tavern down here and stuff like that. I've got two favorites. So I've got this. It's a Ruger 1022 all weather. So it's got this really nice wooden stock on it. It's just simple, right? It's a fun little plinker. But then I've got this guy.
All
Just
right.
an SBR with a little OSS suppressor on it.
Nice.
And that's my new favorite. Because I just built it and been playing with it. But I've got one. The wife's got one. So it's fun.
That's nice, man. You know what? It's nice to live in a state like that, and you can own what you want.
Yeah.
You go to a gun show.
Dad told me and asked to borrow one. I'm like, yeah, sure, I got you.
Really? That's nice. That's nice. So, do you have an EDC kit?
Yeah, I would like to find a better way to wear it. It kind of changes depending on the weather and what's going on. But typically, I have my carry, and it's a Glock 22.
It's like the
And
third
then
time.
the 40, and then I got my knife on me. I got my little cricket, which I've always had crickets. I'm a creature of habit for a lot of things.
Okay.
I've got a Streamlight flashlight, and then I've got like a multi-tool. I carry a lighter, a little like med thing, and some chapstick. Just weird stuff, I guess, that I just keep putting in my pockets, and I've made habit. And
Okay.
I've got a couple of little things that I carry just out of habit that my daughter gave me. Like every time I'd leave, I'd keep them with me. So I got in such a habit. Like I've got like trinkets in my pocket that I walk around with. So
Yeah. I mean, listen, that's good. It's good that you have a kit on you. Again, most people don't. And I don't know. I don't know. Not that I don't know why. I get it, because if you think you're going to the store, you're local, and you're going here, and people don't have it, you're like, you know, you're like, fuck it, I don't need it today.
I carry 2 extra mags.
Oh, you do?
So I've got my carry, and I've got the mag on that one. Then I've got 2 extra 15 round magazines that I carry on the side, because I get not really a fear, but a big scare, I guess you could say, among a lot of guys that I've ever worked with and stuff like that would be, you're out there with 15 rounds, but if I'm making it home, or if I'm doing something and all I have is 15 rounds, it's what happens when you run out. Stress and everything involved. You're not some like John Wick guy that's going to go out there and land every shot,
He's like, well, yeah, or in his case, count the rounds,
Right.
Yeah, imagine sitting there. Oh, so listen, someone asked this earlier. What state are you in?
Missouri.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I've never been there. So,
it's nothing really.
well, okay, it's like, yeah, it's a lot of nothing.
Depending on where you go. I mean, if I was going to do anything fun, I'd go to the city. So.
After that. So, do you have a bug out bag?
Yes, I do. I've got it's an Eagler stock, actually. It's the Phantom bag, and so it's a pretty big bug out bag. And I've got one. The wife has a regular like hiking bag, and both my kids have a bag.
Very good.
I mean, they're just regular backpacks, but yeah, we've all got one, and we've all packed our own. Well, I packed them, and they repack them and add things that they need to that I tell them.
Oh shit! Okay, it's good. Age range? How old are the kids?
11-year-old daughter and Monday a 6-year-old son.
Oh, okay. All right. That's around the interesting age.
Yeah, he will not be quiet.
Yeah, that's what they just go. They keep going. So, because someone asked this question earlier, and I was going to get to it. What would make you bug out of your current situation?
So if it was just a natural disaster, then obviously I'm not going to. But if there's any type of, I guess, massive civil unrest, like one of those things, or some kind of a grid down situation, like in 1 second after, if there was something that was going to be on an unnatural effect, right, I would almost do it immediately. We've got plans already. I've got locations. We've got guys we're meeting up with and their families, and I don't have a very long ways to go to get to our little final destination. But we've got basically like a 2-vehicle setup here at the house, and everyone's got a job, and we know what we have to do, and we take the 3 days, because I don't personally believe anything goes. And I know riots can go bad in a night, but I'm just saying I don't think anything on a scale of bugging out can go bad within a night. For having to leave with all your gear that you can and all that jazz. So we take our 2 days, load up and go.
Nice. You got a good plan. Now the hard part is always how to execute it when it finally comes down to it. You know how it is. You guys make plans. And then when you execute it, the shit just doesn't work out that way. You're like, what the fuck?
All plans are designed to go to shit.
Yeah. They tell us that all the time in the fire department. They're like, the idea is to attack the fire, and in your head, especially with bosses, you have one way you're going to attack it. Then, and a lot of the times, though, for us, it does work accordingly, because all we're supposed to do is put the water on the fire. Is normally how it goes. But sometimes there are curveballs, or there are things that get in the way, and you're like, holy shit. But
yeah, I can only imagine that.
So, do you have a bug out vehicle? And if you don't, What is your ideal bug out vehicle?
My ideal, I need to borrow a few $100,000. I'd get a Gurkha.
Yeah, what's that?
It's an up armored vehicle. You could see one at let's see here. I think From Paris with Love has one in it, but you can look them up. If you look up Gurkha, you can get them with turrets. They could be APCs like the personnel carriers, stuff like that, but they're up armored vehicles.
What's that?
On the same side, if I really wanted to, if I ever trade in my truck or something like that, I could get like a Toyota Tundra or something like that, and there's a company I could send it to that will up armor it.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Is that pricey?
I'm sorry?
Is that a pricey endeavor?
That's way more pricey than I can do. I mean, but you can up armor just about anything, so it's not like a huge thing. And my truck right now, the vehicles we use right now, they're not. I mean, they're set up if things can go wrong, but they're not something I rely on. It's not like my door or anything's going to protect me from anything.
Gotcha. So a couple of people asking this question: do you have chickens in the backyard?
I wish.
Oh, really?
I wish. I can't. So the last job I had, I was gone, and the wife bought the house, and we moved in. It has an HOA.
Okay.
And it prevented all the good stuff. So
that sucks. Does that include rain barrels and shit like that?
They get weird all the way down to having trailers. So I used to have a trailer in the backyard, and everything's good until someone complains. So right when someone complains, all of a sudden I had to move it. So
it's always somebody to screw it up, no?
Yeah.
So what are your predictions for the next week or two? And then what are your predictions for the rest of the year?
Okay, so I have, I guess, a little bit more of a happier side to it, I think you could say.
Okay.
Well, I could say depending on who wins, and I know there's plans out there and all that kind of stuff, people that say what can go on, and I get it, and we prepare for things like that. But I personally think that a majority of Americans have the attention span of a 2-year-old. And I'm not insulting. I'm just saying that we'll sit there and get mad at something for 2 weeks and then just move on to the next thing, and then get mad or concentrate on this and move on. And if you look at any situation that's gone on, everyone's up in arms about it, and it's all over the internet. And then they'll just kind of push this thing out here, and then we're like, well, what about that? And then we move on. So I don't know if we'll get distracted by it. And by we, I'm not talking about us necessarily. I'm talking about like the chaos that's going on right now. I know it's already been going on for so many months. Honestly, I almost can't even go with my little prediction here, because I used to think that people would just give up and eventually go back to life. But some of these people, I guess it could just get all out worse. Now, again, like I said, I'm in the Midwest, so to me, we haven't seen any of it. So It would have to be. I mean, you guys would be dealing with some shit by the time I will be dealing with it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I have a huge, I guess you could say, warning by watching basically how the large cities around me are doing and on the coasts like that. Because the faster, the harder they break down. I mean, you guys are like my early warning system.
I hope so, man. I really do. I mean, I find it odd, and not getting into conspiracy theories, but I find it odd that every time things seem to look like it's cooling down, it's quieting down, some bullshit happens, right? Like the cops that shot the guy with the knife. Yeah. Shit was getting quiet, and then all of a sudden, this shit went down, and you're like, what are the fucking... Because I was thinking to myself just that day, I was like, man, things are getting kind of quiet. I'm thinking, what else is in store for us? Like, what other bullshit's going to pop up? Then this shit happens like a couple hours later. I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, really? Like, who? It's almost like it's designed, just the way shit is going. And
the whole thing's transitioned anyways. It's not whatever it started off, and now it's just opportunists. They're like, wait, something happened? Cool. At this town, we're going to burn it down and do all this. I mean, there's almost no meaning behind it. None of the people that are looting give a crap what happened.
No,
in my opinion.
no. I mean, listen, you're right. There isn't a way. You're like, oh my God, they shot Marcus. Let's get a free TV. You know, like it doesn't. It's just strange how that transition in the brain works. Like when I was down in the looting downtown. People were like taking shit and speakers and necklaces and breaking ATM machines. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, right. This has nothing to do with George Floyd. Like nothing. I'm like, this, whatever. You know, that ship has sailed. Now we got a new one coming in the port, right? And it's this dude that just got shot last week. And then here in New York, they, down in Brooklyn, they got ugly 2 nights ago, sorry. They were destroying cars and setting them on fire because of some shit that happened in Pennsylvania. I was just like really taken back by it. I was just like, Jesus, man. And the guy had a knife, so it wasn't like he was unarmed. It wasn't like he was shot in the back. The guy had a knife in his hand. You know.
So I'm saying it's opportunist. It's no one that's actually looking for anything to right any wrongs or whatever the way they're looking at the situation. It's just people wanting stuff. People wanting to cause harm.
Right.
People that are naturally chaotic in a 330 million or plus, I'm sure it's a lot higher, population in the nation. I mean, you have, 50,000 of them that are crazy?
Yeah.
If you just have a little bit, you're going to cause a massive amount of chaos.
Yeah. So. No, you're right. And the, I don't know, man. Right now, I'm just... waiting to see how this year ends. I mean, like right now, there's no Thanksgiving parade, and I do not know what they're going to do about the Christmas tree because I know that it's tradition to put it up, but are they not going to put it up so that people don't, show up? And listen, if they do that, they might as well just cancel fucking Christmas.
I've already told people I feel like I'm like eating popcorn, waiting for the season finale of the movie. I'm just ready for the shit to be over. Not saying that 2021 is going to be some magical year that everything just goes back to normal, but
oh no, what, man?
I'm waiting for the conclusion of all this mess.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like you're like, New Year's Eve. Everyone goes to their parties and shit all over the place.
Yeah,
I'm like, they already canceled us here in New York. They already said that that's not happening. Though, I don't know if people are going to listen to that. I don't know if they're going to be like, fuck that, we're showing up anyway,
Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see. I'm curious to see how this is going to work out. So, you, being that you're a Marine, has any of that, what you learned, help you prep?
To an extent. I mean, there's obviously, I guess, experiences or whatever you've done that's going to help you do some fashion of prepping. I like to think like a bad guy all the time. So when I'm looking in on myself, if I'm prepping for, X, Y, and Z, I'm thinking to myself, well, how would I hurt myself or hurt my family or whatever? How would I catch myself? Things like that. So in that aspect and more of a security aspect, I guess you could say it helped. As far as the outside and guarding and canning, I'm about as dumb as they could be. I got to look outside sources and taking some knowledge. So there's there's that.
Listen, at least you're into it because there are people on here who are just like, they know everything. No matter what you tell them or what you ask them, they know it all, So
I learned something new just about every day or two. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You have to, the crazy shit is, you have to learn something new. Even, even myself, per se, and I hate saying that, but being in the game as long as I have, I'm still learning new shit, right? The canning, for example, there's like a ton of things you can do with canning that my viewers are opening up my eyes to, and things like that. So it's you always have to be learning something new. The moment you say, I know everything, that's the moment you become an asshole, right?
Yeah.
Because there's no such thing as knowing everything.
Well, not everyone's an expert.
You know what? Unless you're an expert in like martial arts and some shit, and you soaked in all you can, that's fine. But in prepping, there's no experts.
I'd say like that, and think about it just from the people that you've worked with, and anybody that's watching this, the people they've worked with. You might be in any field of expertise, right? And there's always someone that's just a freaking idiot in that job, someone that's bad at it or whatever it is. There's always somebody. That's why when I say that not everyone's an expert, I'm just saying that you might get information like just because I was in the Marines doesn't mean that I know everything, about the Marines. I don't know every single aspect, every weapon system, and all that stuff. So if I was to claim it, I'm just another one of those jackasses. But.
Well, I mean, listen, that again, that's good that you're modest too, because listen, here, this is the facts, dude. You being who you are, what you've done, having a YouTube channel that makes sense, people are going to look to you for advice and guidance, and that's it. That's what it comes down to. You stay humble, you'll be fine. Prepper Nation, Prepper Now, guys are still modest. Even Canadian Prepper, talking to him on the site, still modest, right? Magic Prepper, right? Pinball Preparedness. These guys are still, and North Shore Preparedness. These guys are still modest fucking dudes. And as long as you stay that way, you shouldn't have a problem,
Yeah.
But so I have to ask this question. This is the question I ask all the people I interview. There's no right or wrong answer, right? You know what it is?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So you, I only have to repeat it just because of someone might be new. So you're walking in the woods, minding your business. You're bugging out. It's a grid down scenario, and you come across an obvious prepper stash. You're like, holy shit, look at that. Or you kick a rock, and the rock is a fake rock, and it rolls over, and you got a box there with all of this shit inside of it. Do you take it? Do you leave it?
I love the way that Autumn answered it yesterday. So part of it, anyways. So the first thought I would ever have, if I walked across something so obvious that it's just stacked against a tree or something. Mm-hmm. If it's in a home and I come across it, I'm going to eat what me and the family needs, and I'm going to switch out my gear for what's better. But as far as taking everything, can I even carry everything? Can I even carry much of it? I don't know how much is there.
Right.
So, but if it's something that's just outright in the open, it's a trap. I'm not going up to it. Most likely, if anything, I'm going to stake it out. I'll push back. I'll move around and I'll watch it. And if they're going to be bad enough to sit there and plant the trap on somebody, then in a darker, I guess, scene, they don't need to be around to keep their stuff.
Oh, okay. All right. Like I said, no right answer, no wrong answer, because the why I like that question. I like the question because you'll answer it one way initially. I'm gonna leave it alone, man. It belongs to somebody else. Then the more you start getting into prepping and you put yourself in a shit survival scenario, you're like, damn it, I might have to take some stuff. I might have to move.
Yeah, see, I would never leave it alone. I just couldn't. For one, it's it's the whole Schrodinger's cat.
Yeah.
If it was in a house and I come across it and we're eating, I don't know if the person that owns this stuff is dead or if they're alive. And if I walk away, if I've left it for the next person or the next asshole that's not a good person or whatever to come along and get it. So it's that whole there's so many open scenarios that it's either good or it's bad that you just go for it.
Right. I mean, at that point, if shit's already falling apart, how much worse could it possibly get? That's sort of like saying it about this year, I tell you, I'm 2 seconds from throwing my phone through a wall. So, what mistakes have you made, and how did you learn from them involving prepping?
The biggest mistake I made was getting into prepping with the wrong mentality. So, was it was a ways back. But when I first got into it, my preps were gear, firearms, and ammunition. And I mean, if anybody preps like that, they have one idea in mind: is I'll just go get what I need to get. Not in a hateful way. I'm not. I had the idea that you can always find someone that is a bad person, and any kind of situation that's going to put them in an SHTF, a long just in scenario, whatever, is going to bring out the worst or the best in people, and you're going to see it. So I could always find stuff from somebody bad. And that was my whole plan. But then I kind of reevaluated myself and was like, well, for one, that's stupid, because immediately I can't take care of my family. Now I have to search for somebody. Now I'm hunting. You know what I mean? Now I'm doing something that's probably immoral. So I had to reevaluate myself. So I guess the worst or biggest mistake I made was not having the right mentality when I went into prepping.
Oh, shit. Very good. Good answer. You know, it's funny you said that, because a few years ago when I started doing this, I was that guy that was trying to get people to prep. You know, so I was like, oh man, you should prep, you should do this, you should do that, right? And then I talked to one guy, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, you know, talking about, well, if this happens, what would you do? He's like, yo, I got a couple of guns. He says, I'll just take what I need. And I'm like, yeah. I said, what? He goes, yeah, man. And he says, I'll take whatever I need. I got a gun. I was like, and what if they have a gun? He goes, well, then we'll get into a shootout. And I was like, holy shit. I said, all right. And then that was it. Conversation was done. I was like, there was nothing for me to say to this dude, because it was just like that weird moment. I was like, damn. And me, keep in mind, I was talking to this guy for a while. He just seemed like a good dude until he said that. Yeah. He made me realize that even right now, even with everything going on, people are good because there's still laws in place. But as soon as that law is gone, people are going to act like assholes. And I was just like,
everything's good in civil society.
Right. And he opened my eyes to that years ago, and I was like, shit, you know? Like, this is another dude I got to fucking beat up or defend myself from, you know? Because then I remember telling him a little later, I was like, well, why wouldn't he just get everything ahead of time so you don't have to do that? He stops and he thinks, and I'm looking at him like, I got him. He goes, fuck that. I could just take somebody else's shit. I was like, all right. I said that conversation was truly done after that. I didn't know what to say. You know, I didn't know what to say after that, so I was like, fuck it.
It's a really bad idea. I mean, it's gonna be the most dangerous one, and it's most likely gonna get someone you or yourself or somebody you love killed.
He didn't give a shit. Now, I would love to ask him that question now. That was like 10 years ago, maybe 8 years ago. You know, I would love to ask him that now, but you know, whatever.
No, I got you.
You know, so listen, what would we talked about bugging out, right? Your bug out home. What would be the ideal location?
My ideal location. Well, there's no end all be all. So even when I find a spot, it would be scouting or looking for another spot. It would be moving to a different location, because the plans we have right now, there's like 3 plans in place right now that we have, and we have a final location that we're trying to make it to. But at one point that spot's going to be seen, and then it's going to be compromised by something. And I don't want to be the one that's always staying on the road, but I don't want to be close to the fact that I can't move. You know what I mean? So a lot of my preps, they move around me and the family being on foot. I have excess. I have, you know, bug-in stuff, and I have stuff to move in vehicles. But if we had no power, we were able to move on foot with our essentials. So I mean, anyways, bug a location. There's no end all be all for me.
All right, so guys, we are entering the 45-minute mark. 599 viewers. Could you do us a favor and hit the like button or the thumbs down, whatever makes you happy? It helps out with the algorithm. Could you head over to Prepping Outside the Box's YouTube page, like and subscribe to his channel? Again, you see that the guy's level-headed. He's not full of himself. He's not arrogant, and he also saved my ass tonight too. By the way, he filled in for Bear Independent, so that was pretty Johnny on the spot on him, being ready as he was. Which was,
I ain't gonna lie, man. I saw an opportunity, and I was like, "Hey, I could take that spot for you."
Like, yeah, you know what? I have a contingency plan for all my guests, right? So in case something happens, they don't show up. I have a backup plan, just because shit happens, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm never surprised and I'm never disappointed. I just roll with the punches. It is what it is, you know.
Classic.
So, what is your take on the differences between a prepper and a homesteader?
Let's see here. So, homesteading's a life. Well, they're both lifestyles. Homesteading's a bug-in lifestyle, right?
Right.
It's a person that does not plan on moving, in my opinion. And a prepper's is more versatile. So, you don't have the same security as a great location. Maybe you live up in the mountains or whatever, and you have a homestead that's set in place.
Right.
So it doesn't have the same security as that, but yeah, I think you're more versatile just being a prepper instead of a homesteader. But there's pros and cons to both.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Yeah, I think my goal is to be a homesteader. I think
that's my goal.
Right. That's
goal.
Listen, I would love to have a garden like everyone else who has a home. They have a nice garden in the background. I would love to have livestock, whether it's chickens, cows, whatever it is. I'm definitely looking to do that. So now we're going to enter the question portion from the viewers. So for those of you that are still watching, could you do us a favor and ask whatever question you want to ask in large caps, please, so they stand out. Someone asked a question about what's going on in Philly. I think it's total and utter bullshit that people are rioting over a guy who had a knife who was coming at the cops. And the fact that you're rioting over something that was so clear cut and a righteous shoot is insane. And dude, what is your first name?
Josh.
Okay.
Or Joshua or whatever.
That's what I thought. I didn't want to say that and it was somebody else's account.
Good.
Right? So like Joshua said, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunist, jumping at it and seeing something else they could be mad about, but they're really not.
Yeah.
So, Christina asked, what antique tool would you suggest for a grid down scenario? Antique tool.
Oh man, one of my favorite ones that I actually have, and I don't have everything I want, but I've got a manual wheel to grind my blades.
No shit.
Yeah, it's just a hand crank.
Okay.
And it's about this big.
Right.
And I found this thing in my dad's farm years ago, and I was like, I am taking this. So,
no kidding. That's a nice fucking find, man.
Yeah, it was. You'd be surprised if you could find it at old farms or antique shops and things like that. So it's pretty good stuff.
I got to remember that for when I pass antique shops now.
Yeah.
Someone Gary asked, am I still interviewing Bear? I said, I'll interview Bear independent if he ever gets back to me. He had personal reasons why he didn't want to do the interview, or that he couldn't do the interview, rather. So if he gets in touch with me again, we'll absolutely do it. But I don't chase anyone around. If you have problems at home or whatever it is, I leave it alone. I'm not. I don't want to be a nuisance, if you will. All right. So, Hillbilly asks, "What is your greatest skill?" That's
my greatest skill?
Yeah.
Shooting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that'd be my biggest skill. And there's people that are based. Not like I'm like I said, I'm not John Wick, but my biggest skill would be shooting, or just having the experience of doing room clearing and things like that. So yeah.
Okay, so someone asked if this is not a prepping question, but someone asked, what beer were you drinking or are you drinking?
Oh, no, I'm not.
No, I'm not.
No, it's just an IPA.
Oh, all right. Isn't that like hipster beer?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, I don't drink beer. I just hear guys at work say that IPA. They go hipster beer, so that's all I know.
IPA is completely associated with that. I mean, I've drank just about I mean, just about everything. But I got a buddy that makes beer, and if I'm not drinking, an IPA or something like that, he's like, "What the hell are you doing to your body?" Because he's, that's his little arena. And I was like, all right. So I got so used to, being out with him, hanging out with me and the wife, hanging with him and his wife, that we just been drinking what they're drinking, basically.
Gotcha. So Prepper Nation said, why don't you interview Bear, Independent, and Canadian Prepper at the same time? That would be very, very, very interesting. There would probably be a lot of views on that. Huh?
Do it like a debate.
Well, yeah, because apparently, from what I keep hearing, one doesn't like the other. So, right. I keep hearing that, and I said, well, listen, I'm not taking sides. So that's that. Whatever their issue is with each other, it is what it is. But I keep hearing that. So Josh, what's your opinion of the AK-47 as compared to the AR-15?
It's depending on your setup, I guess. I mean, if you have an actual full auto AK, those things are beasts. But I'm so used to the platform for an AR, I know everything about it that I'm not gonna switch sides. So I've done a lot of shoots with AKs. I've done full auto mag drills and things like that. They're fun as can be, but I'll always go back to an AR platform.
Gotcha. Very good.
It's almost like the 1911 and Glock conversation. There's a lot of really sexy Glocks out there. I'm sorry, 1911s, but I'm always going to go for a Glock because they're practical.
It's interesting. My oldest son, he just got a 1911 the other day. He was all proud of it.
There's some beautiful ones out there.
Yeah, it was his first handgun too, and I was like, that's what he went for. I was like, all right, yeah. Usually people start with like Glocks, or smaller. He was like, fuck it, he went big fast.
Give me the hammer.
Yeah. I was like, listen, I can't fault him, man. The kid knows how to choose them, My doctor. Prepper Nation said I could be like Dr. Phil between those two. Yeah. Imagine that, right? But listen,
I'd watch it.
I think a lot of people would, and you know what? I would definitely set that up. Just to pick their brains. But again, I like to see why why they don't like each other. That would be my thing. Because in this game,
squashing the beef.
Right, and in this game, what's weird is that people are judging you based on what they see on here on YouTube, right? Yeah. So if you're looking at somebody and you're judging them just from what you're seeing on here, that's one-sided shit because there's way more to a person behind the screens, right? It is what it is sometimes, and sometimes it's straightforward. Sometimes it is straightforward. Sometimes the guy's arrogant. Sometimes the guy's too cocky. Whatever it is, you can definitely get that. I've heard people say Bear Independent was too cocky. I was like, if I'm not mistaken, I thought he was a Special Forces guy, and usually, Special Forces guys, in my opinion, reserve the right to be cocky, especially if they did that shit.
I haven't seen a lot of his. I just started watching some of his stuff. But I mean, for an alpha mentality kind of person,
mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of them are going to come off cocky, and it's more of assertiveness. It's more of to the point kind of guys. It's not necessarily. Well, in my opinion, it's not that they're cocky, and maybe I just haven't caught it. But if he was some SF dude, I got a lot of buddies that were SF, and they're about as chill as can be, but they're straightforward.
Right, and that's the thing. I think that's the thing. People will say, "Oh, this guy's too cocky," or I'm like, because you don't like his assertiveness, or maybe he's too alpha male, or maybe he's too manly for you. Because it's amazing how America browbeated manhood by calling
that toxic masculinity.
Yeah, right, shit like that. Oh, his toxic masculinity. It's affecting my workplace. I'm like, I said, really, dick face? I'm like, just because you sit with your legs crossed and fucking, read a Glamour magazine. This is a guy I'm talking about, on the train. I said, doesn't mean that the next guy is toxic. It's just that you can't handle the manhood, And they tried to push it, and thank God it died. That whole toxic masculinity shit died pretty goddamn fast. But Mark Chase says, Bear has not been in any military service. Okay. I didn't know that. He ain't military. No shit. All right. I thought Bear was in that.
You don't have to be in the military to have that kind of attitude.
No, you don't. You definitely don't. I know a lot of cocky motherfuckers that just like... what's funny? I knew one guy who's pretty cocky with his wilderness survival. This guy didn't know shit once we got out there,
Oh, shit.
Yeah, once we got out there. And I sort of knew because I looked at his clothing, his gear, and it all looked brand new. And I'm like, well, how long you had the knife? He goes, a couple months. I'm like, really? He goes, yeah. I go, this motherfucker's lying right to my face. So we get out there, and I throw him under the bus. I had to, right? I said, oh, do me a favor, start this fire. He couldn't get a fire started with a ferro rod, which is the easiest thing in the world to get started. Being that he said who he was, not that I wouldn't expect people outside of the gate to know it, but if you said you were like a Dave Canterbury, you should be able to do it,
You know what? I'll give you an example. He might have been one of those, I guess you can call them like paper survivalists. They know a lot of information, but they've never done practical application for it, right?
Yes.
I mean, the last job I had, I did contract security overseas, and you'd have guys that slip in that have their work on paper. They're like paper medics and paper this and paper that, but they've never actually done any of it, like in the application of it.
Right.
So when it comes time for it, they're like, hey, fix this dude, he's doing something, and they're like,
no shit.
All I did was take the test.
Holy shit! No kidding.
Yeah, so you could easily. There's people like that are everywhere that have, might have qualifications for it, like through tests and paperwork and things like that, but they've never actually done it. Maybe he was one of those.
No kidding. I like that, paper survivalist, because I was thinking to myself, well, maybe he watched a lot of YouTube videos, and he was like, I can do this. And now, yeah. Oh man. All right. So, calculus, if I'm saying it wrong, I'm sorry. Thank you for the donation. How do I calm down a person that was shot, injured, that was freaking out, screaming? All right. So this question's for you, because you can probably answer this. How do I calm down a person that was shot, injured, that is freaking out or screaming? How do I prevent them from going into shock?
Okay, I'm going to do this in two things. For one, if you ever get a chance to do any kind of medical training, do that first. Don't take my word for it. I'm not a medic or anything like that, right? Okay. There's things you do for shock that are medical, right? The way you're positioning them in blankets and things like that. There's things you do for that. But as far as talking to somebody and doing something, your attitude is going to portray onto them. So if someone got shot and you're freaking out, they're more inclined to freak out themselves. So you're looking at them saying, "Oh, damn, that's bad." It's gonna be negative on their what just happened to them. You know what I mean? Like nothing's ever. That's why you always do the, "Oh, hey, buddy, you're all right," and all that kind of jazz. And stop being a. Well, I don't know what I can say on here, but stop being a bitch or whatever.
Yeah, say whatever you want.
Yeah. This is when you get those kind of reactions like that. So your reaction is going to depend, or going to reflect on the reaction as part of it.
Oh shit! All right, very good. Alan, Old Mutt. Sorry. Yeah, that would be an interesting thing to do. Alan said, "How about prepper convention with 10 or 15 YouTube preppers?" I would absolutely do that in a heartbeat. That would be fucking cool. I would rather try to do it in person, or get as many of us in person as we can, and then the other, whoever can't make it, video. But that's actually a good-ass idea. Southern Bell Teacher, the moderators are, we only have one tonight. My other two are, my other two are not feeling well. So Prepper now is in this on his own, fending for his life, it looks like, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I'm looking out of the corner of my eye. I'm like, man, he's going after it today. That's pretty good though. That's pretty good. So he can handle this on his own. But let's take in a couple more questions because we have actually we're over the hour mark, but let's take a couple more questions.
All right.
If you don't mind, that's up to you.
Hey, I got nothing to do. I'm already in my relaxing time right here.
I hear you. So, I tell you in front of everybody, but this is not the last time we do this. We're definitely going to do this again, especially after your channel has grown, and not that ideologies change, but just like your situation changes a little. And then we're definitely going to do another, I wanted to do a round table with like 5 of us, and then, talk about whatever it is. But the Prepper convention, that's fucking good shit. I like that. I'm in on that. So we definitely have to keep that up front on the list of shit to do so that we don't forget about it. 1, 2, get all the heavy hitters and even the small timers together on the same page. That's a good fucking idea. That's my buddy Alan who lives upstate. I hang out with him when I can, and he's this guy. You want to talk about preppers? He's fucking squared away. The guy's fucking on the goddamn level. I've never seen anything like it. So, all right, this is a war question. This is for you.
Okay.
Which war? All right, man. Which war would you rather be in? Vietnam or World War II?
Oh, well, shit, man. I don't. All right. I mean, neither. They both had things going on. I mean, they're both different setups, different makeups, and everything like that. There's no way in hell I'd want to do a Vietnam conflict, but the kind of gear and support and stuff like that went on during World War II, I wouldn't want to deal with that either. I mean, you can look at the casualty and see the casualties. But I mean, just the medical advances alone, neither. I wouldn't want to be in them. If I had to choose one, it would have been World War II. That would be great. If I had to do something really, around about, I would have picked the Korean War, but that wasn't one of the options.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, again, it was one of the options. Still, it's your answer. You answered how you want. So,
that's damn right.
All right. So, someone asked the question. Busted Beak asked. Well, hold on. Let me get to this first question. What are your election predictions?
Man, okay. So, okay. For one, I'm voting for Trump because my business is in guns, right?
Okay.
So there's an obvious selection for me, especially from where I'm at. But there's such I think, overconfidence that he's going to get elected. I think it lets people be complacent and people maybe not vote. I think overconfidence changes the outcome of election. Look at when Hillary was going for presidency and everyone was just for sure it was happening.
Right.
And then she didn't have the areas that she needed or whatever you want to say. But I don't know, man. I want to say Trump just because usually, I mean, it's kind of getting into a pattern of every president's getting 4 years, or 8 years, right? Two terms.
Right.
And my worry is not this election. My worry is 2024 because it's completely open. We have a clear cut. We already know what this guy's going to do, and we have an idea how this person's going to do because of what they've done in their past and all that kind of stuff, right? You have such a clear idea. There's no way that a Biden-Kamala ticket would be in 2024, and obviously no Pence and Trump. So I'd be more worried about a 2024 and getting through whatever BS we go through for the next 4 years. So.
No, it's crazy you said that because that's exact same shit that I was thinking about. I was thinking about not so much this election, it's the next one. And if Trump wins, I don't know. Me personally, I don't think he's going to win. Do I want him to win? Yes. Am I a big fan of him? No.
I talked to my dad about the same thing.
But would I like him to win? Absolutely. But you're right. The overconfidence is insane.
Yeah.
Though the overconfidence is going on both sides. The overconfidence on Biden's party, a lot of Biden supporters are like, "Yo, he's going to win."
Yeah. Well, yeah.
You know,
I can see that.
so
I can see.
it's definitely an issue. Busted Beat. First of all, thank you for the donation. Secondly, he's asked, "I just started prepping. What should I start with?"
Water, in my opinion.
Okay.
You can, if you want to break down what you can live through and what you can get through, water is going to be one of your most important things. If you don't have a means of protection right now, or if you haven't learned a skill like, with, I don't know, martial arts or blaze or anything like that, you don't have a gun, you can't drink a gun, and water is important.
You cannot. Yeah, you're right. You can't drink a gun. All right. That was a good one. Thank you. Special Daddy cereal. Top 5 medical supplies for new preppers.
Okay, so I've got a guy on my channel. I did a little tourniquet video, and I live and die by tourniquets. I think they're great.
Yeah.
Now there's obviously more stuff that goes into it. I'm not a medical professional that could do the extended work that needs to be done. So I guess it depends on who you have your team. But my favorite thing would be a tourniquet because it stops the bleeding.
Right.
But if you just go down the March algorithm and things like that, you want to stop the breathing, you want to open the airway, and all that kind of stuff. So I would say nasopharyngean with the lubricant,
right,
and a tourniquet, and I mean you'd have to have some kind of a bandage and dressing. You'd have to have some kind of you could do a whole bunch of Jimmy rigged things where you do sucking chest wounds and stuff like that with plastic wrap. I can get that, but if you had a sucking chest wound actual pad, the ones that suction to you and stuff like that. Okay. I mean, to break it down into what's most important. I mean, you could have the 3 things you think are the most important, and the complete opposite thing happens.
Exactly. No, you're right about that. Exactly. Calculus. Sorry for screwing your name up. Thank you for the donation. They're saying looking for a couple of acres of cheap forest land, Maine versus Missouri or Arkansas. Freedom, taxes, things and things too. What do you think is the best state?
Well, I mean, I've got some. If you like the cold, go up to Maine. I got some buddies that live up there, and they love it. They got property out there. I was born and raised in Missouri, so I'm gonna stay here. But I mean, Arkansas is nice. It's got some beautiful land and all that kind of stuff. You got to find out what's available. I could say go to Missouri, but then all of a sudden you don't find anything that's feasible for you that's near water or whatever. So I'd say Missouri, Maine if you like cold.
Well, yeah, I was thinking Maine myself because Maine has a lot of land, a lot less people up there. People tend to travel to warmer areas when bugging out or just, trying to get the hell out of a bad area. They'll always go to somewhere warm. It's always south of New York. Rarely do people go north of New York. So I would always entertain up north. Mm-hmm. So, do you hunt and or fish?
I'll go hunt. I'll go fishing. Me and the wife take the kids and go fishing and stuff like that. I'm not a big time fisher. I don't know a lot of. I know how to fish, but I go bow hunting over on my buddy's father-in-law's property. So we try to hit that up every year.
All right. And Chris says, please. He says, don't come to South Carolina, please. I don't have any intention.
I'm not traveling that far.
Yeah, I don't have any intentions of going that far either. Fuck that place. It's too hot, and hurricanes hit it every other year. So I'm out on it.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing too. From a prepper's aspect, looking at places to live, there's something bad in each area. Though, with places like Maine, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Connecticut, PA, those places, your biggest contender are snowstorms. In that case, in that aspect, I'm not worried about hurricanes. I'm not worried about earthquakes. So.
I've looked at fault lines. I've looked at Yellowstone. I've looked at a whole bunch of different maps and things like that in location to where I'm at, just to kind of see exactly what could or could go. The whole prepping or predictions or prepping and all that kind of stuff. So
Right. And that's the thing. You start overthinking it too when you're looking to move. You're like, man, but there's like a population of this here, and that's this. I can't grow this. This is, like, you start overthinking it. Meanwhile, you're
mentally, you're just in a little capsule buried in the ground by yourself.
Right. Exactly. Someone said South Carolina got bomb food. I don't know what the hell that means. You know what that means?
They got what?
Bomb food. South Carolina got bomb food. I'm wondering if they're referring to the food shortage that they're entering right now. Maybe that's why they told me not to come down there. Prepper Nation did a video on that on some state down south that's having a food shortage. So for those of you that are wondering, head over to Prepper Nation's channel and look for that video. It's like a food shortage video that he had on it not too long ago. All right, guys. We are at.
Oh, sorry, guys.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was saying, I guess their videos every morning and stuff like that when I go on. But yeah.
Very good. All right. So that last question: what is your favorite prepping book and movie?
Well, 1 second after. For the book, it's 1 second after. And there's a 1 year after book and things like that, and there's some side books you can get like Patriots and things like that, and all of those have something they offer. There's a whole list of them that offer something like that. For a movie, it's more on the comical side, so I like Shaun of the Dead.
Okay. All right.
It's a fun side. It's a fun side. It's not really a prepping movie or anything like that, but it's an SHTF movie, I guess you could say, in a comical way.
Right. Well, listen, what is that, 2012, right? That was a shit hits the fan, and that movie was just pure entertainment, Like, as far as prepper movie critiques goes, I don't think I'm going to critique that one because it was just, I might mention it, but it was just entertaining, and people took that movie way too seriously.
There's only so many things that you could sit there and get into and be like,
You know what's a good prepper movie? Sharknado.
Yeah. Which one? One through five?
No, they were all terrible. You know the crazy shit is, as you're watching it, you feel your brain melting. Because you're just like, this is fucking horrible. It's a horrible movie.
Me and my buddy used to sit there and have B-rated movie nights when I was at work, and we would watch the most god-awful movies we could ever find. And then we watched one that was Stonado, and it was stones instead of sharks that were smashing the ground and exploding from some heat. But they tried to go so far into it intellectually of how this could scientifically be a problem that It just made the movie so bad.
Really? I gotta look for that now. Thank you for telling me.
I'm sorry.
No, that's good. I definitely gotta look for it. Listen, I sat through a movie called Ratpocalypse, and basically people were turning to rats, but it was only in Russia. So the worst part was it was the special effects. When the guy turned into a rat, like he was moving, and while he was turning into a rat, he had to stay still so that like they could morph his head. It was terrible, and I was mad that I watched it the first time. Then it comes on again at work, and like an asshole, I'm sitting through it again, watching it for a second time. It's a horrible movie.
If you need another problem movie like that, you can watch Zombeaver.
What?
Zombie. It's Zombeaver. Zombeaver. Okay. It's a B-rated film.
Holy shit.
Go ahead, have fun.
I'm going to look for that now. Thank you. That's two movies I got to look for. Stonado and Zombeaver. Northern Girl Hobbies. Sharknado it's so bad. It's good, if that makes any sense. You're watching it and you can't believe the ridiculousness of it, but nonetheless, you do lose a lot of brain cells watching the movie. That's one. And two, you just can't realize how bad. And they did it on purpose. That's the other thing. So when you watch it, you got to watch it with a blank stare, and you might get some entertainment out of it. Oh, why aren't you in Sharknado? Oh, no way. All right, guys. We are at the hour and 17 mark. We did good tonight. And we are going to close it up. So, do not forget to hit the like button. Do not Do not forget to hit the subscribe button for my channel. Do not forget to head over to Prepping Outside the Box's YouTube channel. Like and subscribe to his channel. Again, you got to sit through his videos, guys, and watch them. They are really good. They are straight to the point. And he lends his experience being in the military into this, which is another good avenue to go down when it comes to prepping. Any last words, Josh?
Yeah, I'll give a little shout out to a guy real quick. Excuse me. Julian Prepping for Life, right? He's in here right now, and he's a small channel, and I've watched him, and even though he's small, he's actually got some pretty crazy ideas and interesting prepping information too. It's not your normal prepping channel, but I figured I'd throw that one out there. He's always in the chat over in my videos, so you'll see him there.
What's his name again?
It's Julian Prepping for Life. I don't want to mess up his name.
What?
They talk to him all the time. I'm pretty sure it's Andrew. I sound bad now. Anyways, yeah, it's Andrew Julian Prepping for Life. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Andrew Julian Prepping for Life?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Again, head over to his channel and check it out. I'm going to head over to his channel and check it out as well. And then we'll see where it goes from there. If I like what I see in this channel, I'll invite him on. And we'll keep it at that. All right, guys. Prepper Nation said it's a good channel, so I guess he knows already about him. Yeah. All right, good. So that's two.
He's got some good stuff. It's stuff that I've never think of, and I'm the thinking outside the box guy, and I'm like, oh shit, I've never thought about that either. So
okay,
yeah, it's good stuff. Very
good. All right, so guys, listen. Good night, Josh. Thank you for joining us tonight. I appreciate it. I appreciate being the fill-in, and not a second choice, but a fill-in. I thank you for coming on.
All right, appreciate it.